everybody has a religion, even the atheists. Then the level of education, whether you study till secondary or to university, postgraduate, those also will affect your identity. Your profession after that, as a technician, engineer, doctor, lawyer, politician, public speaker, scientist, or CEO. This will add another identity. By the way, some people, when you ask them, define for me your identity, they will tell you I'm a CEO or I'm a doctor. Basically, he is defining only one dimension of his identity, not the whole thing. Also, the economic and the social status that you have in the community, it will imprint on your identity. And when you marry, you will become as a spouse. This will give you another element of identity. When you get children, this, you will become a parent. This also another title, and it will add for you another element of your identity. When you have grandchildren, each one will add another dimension of your identity. And this is regarding the time. Also regarding the place, when you move from one place to another, like your parents, when they move over here, they move and they gain another citizenship. So some people, they have 2 or 3 citizenships. So you became a Canadian or Australian or US. So that also will play a major role in your identity. All these will accumulate with time and place to create a different dimensions of your unique identity. This is in general, this is for everybody. Now, sometimes actually these elements of the identity, sometimes they conflict with each other. They will conflict with each other. Islam, subhanAllah, is unique compared to the others. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned to us regarding the identity that He gave it to us as the Muslims. He mentioned in the ayah, صِبْغَةَ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ صِبْغَةً. It means, if you look at the explanation or the translation of this ayah, that this identity is given by Allah, صِبْغَةَ اللَّهِ. This identity is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who is better than Allah's given identity? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning to you over here, who is better than this given identity? The identity of Islam, and we'll see now how it will reshape the person's identity. The identity of Islam is so unique and so balanced because it's from the Creator who created the whole universe. The whole universe. All this universe is a balanced universe in everything. With the astronomy that we see it, with the Earth, with the stars, with everything. Everything is measured accurately. So the same thing when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us that identity, also it's measurable and it's adjusted to an accurate way and in a very balanced way if we practice it. If we allow the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to go inside our identity, because it's our decision at the end. You are the one who had that decision to activate that or to disable that. So, the ayah is صِبْغَةُ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ صِبْغَةً, but I will return back to this ayah, because still there are more. So Islam, as you know, is different from other religions in reshaping in all aspects of a person's identity. The other religions, for example, they are not complete like Islam. They are not complete or comprehensive like Islam. A lot of religions, right, because they are not touching all the aspects of life, the way that Islam is touching all the aspects. If you look at the life of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will find that the Prophet is an excellent example in everything. As a father, as a parent, as a spouse, as a leader, as a friend, as a person who worked in commerce, who lost kids, who fight in battles. So you will find his life is covering everything. So he is a leading example for us. But the other prophets, not all of them, even their people, not all of them, they took the whole story of the whole life of their prophet. So they are not covering everything. So this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran about Islam, specifically about Islam. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. It means that this day I have perfected your religion for you and have completed my favor upon you and have approved and have approved you for you Islam as a religion. So from that we can understand that the religion, our religion, the other religions basically, they are focusing only on one aspect or few dimensions of the person's identity. Because as you see from the structure of the identity, it's including everything in your life. All the roles that you are playing in your life. So the other religions, because they are not covering everything, they will give you maybe an answer from the religion perspective only on 1 or 2 or 3 dimensions. But they cannot cover the others, where Islam is covering everything. When Islam enters the person's identity and you start to practice it properly in your life, it will make a revolution in your identity. Unfortunately, many of the Muslims, they have unclear Islamic identity. Their identity, it reflects most of the time culture or traditions. And because, our parents, we were born in a family, in our parents, a lot of things, maybe our parents and the family, they are not doing it part of Islam. They are doing it part of tradition. Especially the people who inherited the Islam and try to inherit everything without thinking, you will find that a lot of things that you are doing is not part of Islam. It's part of culture. It's part of tradition. So this is why it's important for us to learn about Islam and to see how the Prophet ﷺ practiced in every aspect. And you will be surprised the amount of deviation that we have away from our religion, Islam. And it's important to implement that in our life, even if we are called a Muslim. And this is why you will find the variation in the identity clearance from one person to another. The Muslims, they are not in the same way that their identity is clear as the Muslims. So, the point over here, when we start to practice Islam properly and fully, this will reshape our identity in doing 6 things. Now, over here, I'm telling you how Islam will start to reshape your identity by doing 6 things. The first thing that I want you to understand, the first thing, when Islam comes to your identity, it does not erase or remove the elements or the dimension that you have in your identity. What I mean by that, Islam does not, for example, say, okay, this element, remove it. It does not give you the option or the choice to be a Muslim or Canadian. That's a problem. Islam does not give you that. Islam, it adapts to be a Muslim. You could be a Muslim Canadian. Okay. So Islam does not erase or remove the elements or the dimensions of your identity. Rather, Islam, what it will do, it will reshape, reprioritize, and integrate these dimensions smoothly. For example, Islam did not deny tribalism. Islam لم ينقل قبلية, did not deny tribalism. A lot of Muslims, they think, okay, when Islam came, it wiped the tribalism. That's wrong. Islam did not wipe the tribalism, did not strip the person from his origin and his race. And a proof for that is the Medina doctrine. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when he came to the Medina, after a few, maybe 2 or 3 months, he made the first constitution that even the humanity knew. We call it Medina document, and we'll talk about it inshallah in our series. In this document, he wrote about the tribes, and he mentioned multiple tribes in this document. And the Prophet ﷺ, he used the tribe to support the individual financially. So there is no contradiction between the tribes and Islam. The only thing that Islam denied about the tribes is the tribal action that deviate from the Islamic framework by being racist. For example, to be racist to your tribe, or to look down on the other people, or to be arrogant to the people, or to reject the truth. That's what Islam rejects. So Islam is rejecting the tribal actions that comes from that place that is outside the Islamic framework. And that's bringing me to the second thing that the Islam will do to the identity of the Muslims. The second thing, which is Islam, it becomes like a frame for your identity. Do you remember I told you that the identity is like a picture that you draw? Islam will be like a frame. So the first thing, when Islam comes, it does not remove the elements that you draw. It will keep them. You could be a Muslim Canadian, you could be a Muslim merchant, you could be a Muslim teacher, you could be a Muslim father, a Muslim mother, you could be a Muslim spouse. So Islam does not remove. The second thing, it will create what we call a frame for that picture. Its frame basically is for the identity, basically it's the Islamic guidelines and the bylaws and the morals and the values. For example, as we mentioned that in this picture that you are drawing, you are a Canadian, one of the elements. As a Canadian citizen, for example, by the Canadian bylaws, it's allowed for you to drink alcohol. It's allowed for you to eat pork by the Canadian bylaws. It's allowed for you to get a girlfriend, which is basically adultery. So, if you look at the picture, all these things that I mentioned, they are outside the frame. So Islam, when it comes, it will create for you that frame. So anything is going outside the frame, it will crop it. Anything inside the frame, it will take it. So Islam does not reject to be a Canadian. There is a huge area inside that identity that is matched with Islam. No issues with it. The only issues are few things that is going outside that frame. So Islam subhanAllah is creating a frame for all those elements inside your picture, your identity that you created. Islam is creating that frame. And anything goes outside that frame, it will crop it. And it's not only with the Canadian citizen, even with your parents. Your parents. Islam, for example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to obey them in everything. In everything, your parents. Except in one thing. If they order you to disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or order you to do a sin. In that case, this is what? This is outside the frame. So crop. And then وَصَحِبُهُمَا فِي الدُّنْيَا مَعْرُوفًا. Yani, even with that, even they ask you to disbelieve in Allah, still you don't obey them, but still you have a very good relationship with them. Even if they are not Muslim. The same thing in your work, in your study. When you study, Islam, everything is studying and learning is acceptable. But if you're talking about cheating, this is outside that frame. The same thing with work, cheating at work, deception. All these are outside the Islamic identity frame. So that's the second thing that Islam will do, to create for you a frame. Also, Islam will give you another dimension in this identity. It will paint your grayscale identity with unique, beautiful, vivid colors. With a unique, beautiful, vivid colors. Imagine that all the peoples, when they draw their identity, or they create their identity, it's black and white. It's all the time to the extreme. You will find that, and subhanAllah, they are imbalanced. You will find even in the values. Sometimes they have like a double standard in the values. Because they don't have a reference point. Islam will create for you that the reference point, and it's not only anymore black and white to the extreme. It will start to add colors to your paint. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this color I call it the color of servitude to Allah. يعني ألوان العبودية لله عز وجل. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this color actually, subhanAllah, when you start to put it inside your identity, in all aspects of your identity, it will make you distinctive from the others. Just imagine all the others, they have black and white, and your picture is only the color one. Immediately they will attract you. But it depends how much color you put inside your identity. A lot of Muslims, they have few colors, actually. And a lot of their areas, they didn't even touch Islam. Maybe you'll see the color only in the masjid. When you're coming to the masjid, you'll see this is colorful because it's matching what Islam is talking about. But if in university, no. If you're talking about inside home, no. As a parents, no. Inside work, no. All of them are black and white. So the more vivid color that you put, and the more your image is full color, you will attract a lot of people. And they will start to ask you, who are you? When you start to practice Islam, they will start asking, who are you? There's one video that I saw, subhanAllah, for a lady from Canada. She's like a tourist. She used to go from one place to another. She went to Oman, And she used to do that route through her motorcycle. And her motorcycle broke down inside in the desert. So she was scared. She's alone. And then she was asking for help. So one car stopped and two men out there. She was scared that because she's alone, maybe it's not safe. So they were very friendly. Immediately they went and they fixed her motorcycle. And even they offered her food and other stuff. So she was shocked by that. She thought this is maybe Omani's culture. But then she moved to another place, which is Pakistan. She moved to multiple places, but then she reached to Pakistan. And the same thing happened to her. And the people over there, they were really hospitable. Their hospitality really amazed her. And also they filled her with gas, they offered her food and other stuff. When she asked them why we did that, now it's not anymore Oman and Pakistan. They told her because we are Muslim. So she accepted Islam. Because she started to see the colors that she never experienced at their home. At their home, even if you give any person like a money or ask him for a food or pay for him, why you are doing that? He started to doubt you and say, okay, maybe you want something from me. Because he's not used to that type of color. He's used to black and white. So you need to show it by practicing it. And to allow Islam to enter in every aspect of your life. And subhanAllah, I return back to the ayah that I talked about. The ayah is صِبْغَةُ اللَّهِ وَمَنْ أَحْسَنَ مِنَ اللَّهِ صِبْغَةً. The meaning of that, this identity is given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and who's better than Allah's given identity? The point, if you know Arabic, صِبْغَة, it does not mean identity. Sibgha is like a metaphor. But you know what the meaning of sibgha? Sibgha means a dye. It's not a paint, it's a dye. The dye that we put for our cloth. Subhanallah. And subhanallah, Islam, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us over here to adapt this in our identity fully in my life and to permit the Islam to reach and to penetrate all the dimensions of my element of the identity exactly like the dye, not like the paint. The paint is external. The dye, it will penetrate the fibers of the cloth fabric, not just an external thing. So as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling you that this hawiyya, this ubudiyya, try to penetrate it in all aspects of your life. This is where you start to see the change. And the people, they will start to recognize you as a Muslim Canadian, as a Muslim merchant, as a Muslim student. You know that this as a Muslim student never cheat. Always telling the truth. And not only in the masjid. And subhanAllah, when you start to let Islam to penetrate all these aspects and enter all these aspects of your identity, it will make you consistent in your identity. So your values and your attitude in the masjid is the same outside the masjid. Is the same with your parents. Is the same inside your school. Is the same with your spouse, with your kids, at work, in the society. And even not only with the Muslims, even with the non-Muslims. With everybody, inside the society and outside the society. And that brings me, subhanAllah, to the fourth aspect, or the fourth point, that Islam, when it comes to the identity, it will integrate all the dimensions and elements of your identity. And subhanAllah, this is the first level of integration. A lot of time when I mention of the integration, the people, they will go to the perception of integration with the others, or integration in the community. You will notice in Islam, there is three levels of integration. The first integration, which is the most important one, is the integration of the identity. That subhanAllah, when Islam comes inside your life, and you allow it to come inside your life, it will start to integrate the concept of the dunya with the akhirah. The concept of the dunya with the akhirah, with the hereafter. And it gives you a clear answer, subhanAllah, about the reasons of your existence. And it will make your dunya, the work in your dunya, in all aspects of life, as a farm to the akhirah. That's a beautiful integration. You never see it in any religion. All the other religions, they will talk about the dunya purely, or the akhirah. You have to select one of them. Islam integrates the dunya and the akhirah in a very beautiful way. And it makes it totally aligned with all the answers about the reason of your existence. We call it ad-dunya maz'at al-akhirah. The dunya is the farm of the akhirah. And whatever you are doing over here, now because you allow Islam to enter in everything, your study is becoming ibadah. Your work is becoming ibadah. It's not only your prayer. Because now you are putting inside your head, inside your heart that I'm doing everything because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asking me to do it. First of all. Even when you define yourself, you define yourself as I'm a Muslim male, Muslim female. So basically when you say Muslim Canadian, basically immediately you are presenting yourself with this frame. This is my framework. As a Canadian, this is my framework. As a citizen, Canadian citizen, this is my framework. A Muslim merchant, a Muslim doctor, a Muslim CEO, a Muslim teacher. So it will create that type of integration, subhanAllah. And it will integrate your morals and values inside the masjid, inside your home, your school, your work, and your society. Even, subhanAllah, if you look at the word integrity, go to the definition for integrity. It's coming from this integration. The integrity basically is about integrating your inner life with your outer life. This is the definition for integrity. So it will create that the first level of integration is the internal integration. Then the second level, subhanAllah, the Prophet ﷺ, he worked on that, and we'll see it inshallah in the Seerah, is the integration between the Muslim community, which we call the Ummah, that they think and act together as an Ummah. And then the third level, which is the integration with the society, and it has also some guidelines how to do that type of integration. Not dissolving integration, positive integration. The fifth thing that Islam will do in the identity, it will start to put, by the way, it will start to put priority. Even the elements are not in the same degree. They will start to give you priority. This is more priority than the other. The fifth thing that Islam will make to your identity, it will, you touch aspects of your identity that you may not pay attention to it before Islam. Just imagine if you are not a Muslim. La qadar Allah. If you are not a Muslim, you'll see that your interest, for example, in everything, maybe in work, in study, but you are not interested in environment. You are not interested maybe in health. But subhanAllah, when you become a Muslim, it's not only, it will give you a frame, it will give you integrity, it will give you also, it will make everything homogeneous, and it will make it with a priority. It will add another aspect, which is if you just follow the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These, just imagine, this is the diagram, or this is what you call the picture that you are drawing. There are areas in the picture you didn't touch it, because it's not your interest, like the environment. I'm not interested in the environment, or about medicine, or about politics, or other stuff. You don't touch it. But the minute, subhanAllah, you start to practice the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without recognizing that, you will start to touch these areas. And your drawing will start to go to these areas which was empty before. What I mean by that? For example, you will start to contribute to the environment without even feeling that you are contributing to the environment. For example, Prophet ﷺ, he said in the hadith, when he saw Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, he was making wudu, but he was extravagant, making a lot of water, putting a lot of water and spending a lot of water while he's making wudu. So the Prophet ﷺ, he told him, what is this extravagant of Sa'd? So Sa'd, he said, in wudu, O Prophet, I'm doing ibadah, so putting more water and cleaning myself better, that means it's good, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will like it. So he said, in wudu is extravagant, O Prophet? He said, yes, even if you are on a flowing river. So just imagine, if you read this hadith and this sunnah, and you say, okay, I will start to utilize the water efficiently. So basically you are touching the environment while you are just doing it from sunnah perspective. But you are contributing to the environment. Removing a harm from the street. There's a famous hadith that the Iman is بضع وسبعون شعبة. The Iman is some and 70 branches. The lowest of that is to remove a harm from the road. So if you see that harm or any garbage or anything, you start to remove it. Even if you are not the one who throw it. SubhanAllah, this is also part of the environment. One of the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that اتقوا الملاعن الثلاث. Be aware from the three curses. One of them, al-burazu fil mawari, that don't urine in the source of water. So just imagine the pollution. So by just doing the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, basically you are touching areas that maybe it was not a part of your interest, but you are practicing sunnah. The same thing when we talk about the health, the personal and the community hygiene. And a lot of aspects when you see the education, the media, the politics, the society, just practicing the sunnah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, you're starting to cover all these areas, start to draw in these areas with color in your identity. And the final one, more than that, Islam will cover even missing aspects in your identity. Like some people, they don't have the parents. What I mean by parents over here, some people who revert to Islam, when they refer to Islam, subhanAllah, their families, they will cut all the ties with them. And even they become against. So those people, they are disconnected from the parents. SubhanAllah, the minute that they come to Islam, they will find that type of love and that type of, feeling that they are part of the family. And the Muhajirin al-Ansar, the one that we heard the story of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ when he immigrated to the Medina, there's between the Muhajirin, the immigrants, and the Ansar, which is the supporters. And how the Ansar, they give a support for the Muhajirin. So subhanAllah, this is important to give that type of support for the people who are missing that type of support. And especially the revert people, they need that type of moral and material support. So it's important as Muslims over here, when you see any revert person, to give him that type of moral and the material support. And subhanAllah, some people, maybe with their nationality, you will find maybe if they look at the history, and we mentioned that the history is very crucial in creating the identity. When they look at the history of their countries, maybe it's not that good. Especially if you're talking about European or whatever, the back history. Now, the beautiful thing, the minute that you are attached to Islam, regardless of what's your history, immediately you are attached to the Ummah of Islam. And you will be part of that history. And you will feel that there is an extension of your history, new extension, that reaches to Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, to the Sahaba. And you start even to feel proud of what the Sahaba they did, what the Muslims they did. Even during all the centuries before. When you hear about Abu Bakr al-Razi or Al-Haytham and other scholars, as if you are the one who did that type of accomplishment. And you feel that type of attachment to them. So, subhanAllah, Islam, it will create for you that extension in the history. And even it will go extension beyond even the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Even you feel all the prophets as if you are extended to them. And you start to support those prophets, subhanAllah, and you feel that they are part of the family. So, this is what Islam is doing actually. It's replacing and it's giving you other extensions and other areas, other aspects that you are missing in. It will fill those aspects. So those are the 6 things that Islam, subhanAllah, make a revolution inside your identity. Once again, what's the first one? First one is Islam does not remove any of your existing elements. It will keep all the elements there. But it will prioritize it, it will reshape it. The second one, the frame. Anything outside the frame, all the identities are inside. Anything outside, it will crop it. The third one, the paint. Everybody is gray, black and white. Islam, it will give you that silver, and it should penetrate all your life. And as I mentioned, a lot of Muslims, when you look at their identity, you will find a lot of areas that they have gray and white, black and white. Only they will find the color, only they allow it in the masjid. Or they allow it at home, or a little bit at home. or a lot of the little bit in the school. You need to let all the colors go in. And this is Ubudiyya basically. This is how you feel Allah is watching you and how you implement Islam in all aspects of your life. Then, the fourth thing, it integrate all the dimensions all together. It will do the type of integration. And also, as you mentioned, regarding the things that you didn't touch all the aspects of it, such as environment, other stuff. By just practicing the Sunnah and the Seerah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, you are touching all these aspects, even if you are not intended to, which is more complete. It will make your identity more complete and comprehensive, not just only focusing on one area. By just practicing the Seerah and the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And the final thing is giving you a replacement for any missing aspect that you have, whether it's appearance, whether it's a history, support from the others. And subhanAllah, that brings me, this is regarding the individual identity. So you see how Islam make a revolution in the individual identity. Regarding the group identity, which is the Muslim identity, this we will talk about it, how the Prophet ﷺ, he created that identity with 10 projects. In economy, in politics, in intellectual, social, media, education, health, environment, all these aspects. We will see how he built that identity. But one of the main things it's distinctive about that identity compared to the other identities as a group, the Prophet ﷺ, he put 2 hadith in this, but I will mention one of them. This is a hadith narrated by Bashir Nu'man ibn Bashir. He's one of the Sahaba. He narrated on Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, مثل المؤمنين في توادهم وتراحمهم كمثل الجسد إن اشتكى منه عضو فداعى له سائر الأعضاء بالسهر بالحمى والسعر. The meaning of that the believers in their mutual kindness, compassion, and sympathy are just like one body. When one of the limbs suffer, the whole body responds with wakefulness and fever. And this is where I will start to link that with the second part of my lecture. That we as Muslims, we have that type of identity we should feel about our Muslim brothers. Even we should feel about any person from the humanity. And we should give them a support. But especially for the Muslims, you have to be like one body, part of this ummah. And you have to feel this is part of your responsibility. And that brings me, subhanAllah, to the point over here, that what we see right now in Palestine and what's happening over there. And when subhanAllah, when you look at what's happening in Palestine, you know that Palestine is for us, is the second house of worship that has been built after Mecca, after the Masjid al-Haram in Mecca. The first masjid was in Mecca, the second masjid was the Masjid al-Aqsa. And also it's our first Qibla. Just imagine the Prophet ﷺ, when he was in Mecca, he was praying, but he was not praying to Kaaba. He was praying to Masjid al-Aqsa. And then when he, after 13 years, he moved to Medina, he kept praying to Masjid al-Aqsa for 1 year and a half, and this is where the Qibla has been shifted to Masjid al-Haram. So, and also it's the destination of the Prophet ﷺ in his immigration, in his Isra al-Mi'raj. When he went to Isra, he went to Masjid al-Aqsa and he did a prayer in Masjid al-Aqsa with a jama'ah with all the prophets. He was leading the prayer, and we are talking about thousands of prophets over there. So it has a religious symbol for us as a Muslim. So it's not a matter of a Palestinian issue. Palestine is not a matter of Palestinian issue. This is a matter of Muslim. The ownership is for Muslims. It's not only for a group of people. And this is where I think a lot of what they are trying to do is to get that thing from out of its context. That it's the ownership which is for the Ummah of Islam. And besides also the ownership, you're talking about also from humanitarian aspect. But the ownership of Islam, of the Ummah of Islam, they took it and they minimized it to the ownership of the Arab. Then they reduced it to the ownership of Palestinians. then they reduce it to an ownership of a group, whatever, Tahrir or Hamas or whatever, any of those groups. And then they shift it to like an ownership of a person. So it will be easy to be sold, and it will be easy to be take over. So this is why we have to return it back to the original contents, which is the Ummah of Islam. And also, when we are talking about here, not to talk only about the Ummah of Islam, to put it on the context of the humanity and humanitarian, because you will see a lot of even non-Muslims in the rallies, mashallah, a lot of them, they go from the humanitarian concept. Non-Muslims, different type of religions, subhanAllah. And that's also put a beauty in us, that whenever there is any issue for the indigenous, for any class, for the black, for any person who oppressed and who is facing some injustice, part of Islam is to support them and to be on the front line, in the front lines. Then also continuously make dua for your brothers and sisters, and after every salah, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy on their suffering and to end the occupation. The fourth thing is to donate and to support the humanitarian responses to the crisis. And there are many humanitarian resources, but make sure that you select the proper ones. Try to verify. The fifth thing, educate yourself and others about Palestine, especially your family. And it's good time over here to know about the story and not to have it just from the 7th of October. Not to make it out of context of time. So try to see what happened before. It's like, it's like when you have a pot that with pressure, it will blow. So you'll start to see the problem only why it blows. You have to go beyond that. Why it was building a pressure. And what's the reason behind it? Why it's getting hot? Why there was a pressure and there was sealing on it? So that's the way to analyze it. Not only to look at specific, start to do it from the 7th of October as they want to know that thing. And make educational programs for the Muslim community and also for the Canadian society. It's good maybe to do what you call exhibition over here to teach about the situation. Also verify the news and spread the facts only on the social media. Don't just take whatever comes to you and send it. Please verify it. You see how we didn't like any type of misinformation from the others, and we say that this is a fake media and other. So don't do the same. Try to verify before you send anything to the people. Also send out emails for the officials, for the MPs and the politicians. Participate in protests with your kids, with the family, with your friends, and follow the guidelines for the publicly protesting. Must be displayed with the best Islamic morals and manners, and must avoid any type of hateful slurs or comments to any community. Especially don't talk about the Jews or talk about other religions, because Islam doesn't have issues with the Jews. The issue is with the Zionists. The Zionists, the concept of occupying and taking and stealing lands from the others, and the genocide and other stuff. And that, by the way, it's not only limited to the Zionist ideology, is not limited to a specific religion, no. You will find sometimes Arabs and sometimes Muslims with the Zionist mentality. You will find Canadians, they are promoting that. Even leaders, and this is a big problem, because if you are supporting these type of genocide and these type of issues over here, this is danger on Canada. It's not something outside. Having that type of mentality and mindset, it's danger on us. So those people, they don't work to be our leaders. And they should understand that. It's not an opinion that you have. No, it's an ideology that you are taking to kill people or to put them under siege, cutting them from electricity and water and food. This is like, they should be on the dark ages. Not, they belong to the dark ages, not to our 21st century over here. Those were some of the ideas. This is regarding the individual, but regarding the group, during these trying times, it's very important also for the community to place their trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a community and to pray for the safety of their brothers and sisters in every day and everybody, and the restoration of justice and the unity of our strength as one ummah. It's crucial to come together during the crisis and to think and to act and to work together to increase the work effectiveness. It's not only enough to work as an individuals. Sometimes when you come as a community, you will start to utilize the resources. As we mentioned, one of the one of the lessons that we learned from the Seerah Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his hijrah, is the utilization of resources. So you have resources like NCCN, for example. They can create for you because they are following all the news, all the MPs, they are sending messages to the MPs. So utilize that. And even when they write these type of petitions or emails, they prepare it in a very well documented way. That you need lawyers to write it down. So they have lawyers to write it down. So just use that, copy paste and send it to the MPs. We have some lawyers right now because some people, when they start to mention these things at their work, they were fired from their work. So right now there are some Muslim lawyers and even non-Muslim lawyers. They are saying, whoever is fired, bring us your case and we will fight for you. So having these type of bodies and work together as a Muslims, or as a community or as a society to fight that, this will create more effectiveness in our work. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us to grant the liberation to our holy site of Masjid al-Aqsa, and to free our brothers and sisters in Palestine from oppression, to free everybody from oppression all over the place and from the tyranny. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also bestow upon us the honor and the ability to contribute to this noble cause. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه وصلى الله وسلم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. جزاكم الله خيرا.